Yeah, hard pass for a shop that doesn't have heat in this. It's like, I don't know, what, 2 degrees outside? All right, we're back at it this weekend working on this roof rack system. So we rolled the Humvee outside here so I could actually see a little bit better, but also because I need the room on the floor in order to put all this pipe and lay it out straight. So I went ahead and held up the A-pillar piece up there. It is perfectly the right width. It is perfectly the right width. We also held up the C-pillar. It is the right width also. I do have some help this time, so it's been a lot of help with holding these up there where we need to check the actual width and height and everything. So those I believe are good. So what I'm working on now is I went ahead and notched one end of these straight tubes, measured out the distance we need up top. I went ahead and cut these. You see from the tape, I tape it and then I cut to the tape. It's just something I do to try to get a straight cut all the way around. The little tubing notcher there is working out great for these notches. So now the plan will be to go ahead and tack up the C-pillar because I know that is the right width. It may need to be trimmed on height, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so, or just to angle the ends of them a little bit more. We'll also go ahead and tack up the A-pillar because I know that is the correct width also. It also may need to be trimmed on height a little bit as well, but we can do that later. Once I have those tacked in place and they can't rotate or anything and they're straight, we'll go ahead and lay out our straight bars, get everything kind of squared on the A-pillar and the C-pillar. I measured the degree of what we need on the C-pillar. Let me show you how I did that. Well, I accidentally zeroed it out at the angle I need, but I ended up taking our little angle finder here and we just ended up putting it up top and making sure our angle was good on the top and then on the back, and we get our angle that we need that C-pillar at in order to match the angle of the back here. Well, here you can actually tell what angle it was whenever I close this. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna need another hand here. So stop focusing on the background. Stop focusing on the background. There we go. So that was the angle that we had on the top. You see I just closed it. It'll just read the distance that I close it at. So you can zero it out to whatever you need and then measure the angle from there. Usually I zero it out like this and then open it up. But that is our angle that we need on our C-pillar. So we'll go ahead and lay out the straight pieces, get our angle correct, go ahead and tack the C-pillar in place on the straight pieces, and then also do the same thing with the front. Anyways, this is a lot of talking, so I'm going to get to doing this, which means I have to drag out the welder because it won't reach all the way out here to this flat piece of ground that I need it to. Well, one of the only days this week where I actually get home at a little bit of decent time. I mean, sun's literally halfway down the horizon, but I have to run down to the shop, so I'm going to drive my car there because I need to disconnect our welding gas tank and go ahead and take it in and get it filled. I'm already out again. This is the second take I've gone through on this project. Yep, swaddled like a little baby. Well, I will have somebody come help me before I really get into this, but this is kind of the setup here. I cut kind of 2x4, well, kind of scrap pieces of wood to the same width or same length. That way that this is the same width on the front and the back. We have the back bar leaned up and we have our little angle finder on there so I can find what angle we need. That was at 103 degrees for the back iron curtain area. So just doing these boards between here, that'll make sure that those two boards are parallel, but it does not make sure that it is square in those corners. So what I need to do now is measure from that corner to the tip of this, that corner to the tip of this. If those two measurements are the same, then we're squared up and we're ready to tack weld those in place. Well, if not, I'm sure you can kind of figure out whichever one is longer. So if that distance here is longer than that one, Then the end of this needs to come this way a little bit, which will push that end out that way a little bit. That'll extend that line a little and shrink this line, getting us more in square. All right, well, a little jump forward now. I ended up actually getting kind of everything tacked up here, pre-tacked what I want anyway, before I kind of extend this out to the D pillar one. Now you saw on our setup for the C pillar, we had those extended out, had the boards between, and we ended up finding square. I went ahead and cut a brace bar in the center as well to the same width. Notched it, got it tacked in also to help keep all that square while I was working with it. We found the angle that we wanted the A pillar piece to be, and then did basically the same thing to the front of that and tacked it in place. And now, well, she's just kind of sitting there. Everything's looking pretty good on that, but now I got to figure out how I want to lift that up top of the Humvee there. But anyway, we're gonna lift that in place. Make sure on the A pillar piece here, we have it sitting about where this is gonna be. Now the angle on the front there is actually gonna be a little bit more of a 90 than the actual angle of the windshield. We need to space it out just a little bit because we do need to make room for the rest of the windshield wipers, all that type of stuff. So that'll be more of a 90, but if you look, the windows here are pretty much at a 90 as well. So it kind of just matches everything anyway. And the back piece will be back here around there. So I need to go ahead and place something here so that whenever I lift that up on there, it'll set on there and not mess up our paint. And well, since it's here, this is what I got to coat that with. Now I'm going to do a little bit more research to see if this is the right stuff, if it does well in sunlight. I don't want to put something in sunlight that's not going to do well in there that I'm going to end up having to take back off and paint really quick. But I know Steel It is a very good brand of paint, and this is a weld through, so if I have any issues or want to weld on any tabs, I don't have to clean off the spot to weld it. I can just go ahead and weld that up. Now I need to get some help to lift that up on here. Well, I had a little help. We got the roof rack, or the front portion, up on here. As you can see, we need to trim this just a tad in order to match that angle. But other than that, that should bring our back end down just a tad, which it is slightly higher than our front end, so that'll work well. Then up front, I have just the tiniest of little gaps, so I'll trim 1/16 of an inch off the back. That'll make that angle a little bit better as well.
That's what it takes.
So remember, on the back portion back here, I would have loved to actually suck this up closer to this back piece, but we do need room in order to get this out of here. So all our latches here we can undo, slip this out still, and then slide it out. So that still gives us the room there that we need in order to do that. I probably could get it a little bit closer than that, but well, this way I won't bang it around as much trying to just squeeze it between there. Started creating the plates as well. This will be like on our A pillar driver's side, so we'll end up welding the tube right there. We have some bolt holes already in the body, so I'll use those. I'll probably drill another one up top here. Just make sure I use maybe a nylon washer or something with that as well, so it helps seal the water out of that. Well, pulled back in and parked. I can only get so much done on the weekends whenever it is freezing until almost noon, and then gets really cold really quick after about 5, 6. So parked back in the shop and still no roof rack on. So I guess this will be more than just a 2-part video series. So I wanted to get out here, have a little fun in the Humvee, maybe do some donuts and stuff, but well, as much snow as we were actually getting, the wind was just blowing it away. We have a little bit of drifts up around the trees, but I'm sure the camera's not even catching this that much, but the snow is just blowing horizontal basically. It's not sticking around enough, and I'd rather not tear up the ground just to do the donuts in the Humvee, just because this snow isn't quite thick enough. If y'all like these videos, guys, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot. I'd like to continue the channel, but it kind of depends on if I can get the subscribers going in order to maintain it. These projects do take quite a bit of time, but I love doing them. and I'd love to keep sharing them. So please consider subscribing, stick around, watching the videos, and kind of growing the community. Well, we got some more done on this. Now, I don't really know how long this is really supposed to be taking because I've never made a roof rack or cage system before. But I do know I could have actually gotten it done a little bit faster if I would have had the equipment I needed when I needed it, and, well, had the hands to help lift it up there when I needed that as well. But it's coming along. One thing that would really help is if I could get me a heated shop to work out of, so that, well, I mean, so that all that doesn't stop me from working on all my projects. I hope y'all still like the episode, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. You should do a YouTube channel on your build, they said. It would be easy, they said.